Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to be hopefully finishing, the looking through of my best sports cards in my collection. It's part 2. For my first card, I have a Jerry Sloan Chicago Bulls card. And it also features him as a coach for the Utah Jazz on the back as well. The reason I like this card is because, obviously, I'm from Illinois and my team's the Chicago Bulls. And I just, like the look of it, and I like how it features him as a coach on the back as well, which is kind of cool. My next card is a Rolando Blackman NBA Hoops card, made in the year 1990. Rolando Blackman was a decent player in the 90s, and he was a good, support player, like your second or third guy typically. So he was a pretty good support player. And the reason I like this card is because I like pretty much any card made by NBA Hoops I like the design of. So that's pretty cool. My next card is an Alex English card. Alex English, I believe, is a very underrated player. This was him on the Dallas Mavericks, but he was also on the Milwaukee Bucks, the Indiana Pacers, and the Denver Nuggets, and the Dallas Mavericks for a short stint of time. My next player is Patrick Ewing. The reason I like him is because, or the reason I like the card is because, again, it's an NBA Hoops card, which I love, and Patrick Ewing is probably one of the best players to ever not win a ring. Speaking of best players to never win a ring, here we have Charles Barkley. His nickname was the Mound Round of Rebound because of, how much of a monster he was and how much he could just overpower you and getting those rebounds. My next card is Robert Parrish, who was also a good bench player, or sixth man. He had solid averages through his career, and I also like the Celtics. They're probably my number 2 team. Next we have Manute Bol. The reason I like Manute Bol is because, he was just a fan favorite in the 90s, and, he just blocked shots like nothing. Most of you should know that he is the tallest player in NBA history. Well, almost, right behind George Mirasan, who was half an inch taller than him. And, again, it's an NBA Hoops card. That's why I liked him. And he averaged, for his career, in just 5 seasons, he got 1,490 blocks. Wow, that is crazy. For my next card is Karl Malone. Nothing to really say about him. He was a good player. Basically, just another good player in the 90s. Patrick Ewing, we already have a duplicate of him, so I'm not going to talk about him. Oh, and here's one of my favorite cards that I have. A Dennis Rodman Defensive Player of the Year card while he was on the Detroit Pistons. Dennis Rodman, probably one of my favorite players. He was just so unique compared to everybody else, and, he was just a great rebounder, probably the best in my opinion, and also a great defender. My next card is AC Green. He was a good six-man and played for the Lakers for most of his career. So, and also it's an NBA Hoops card, so that's why I chose it as well. So I just love the old NBA Hoops cards. And the new ones too. Just I like the old ones better. Next we have two coaches. These were both pretty good coaches in the 90s. Both coaches of good teams, the Denver Nuggets and the Charlotte Hornets. Not too much to say about the coaches, just, the look and, just another card to add in my collection. Next we have Delaney Rudd, a rookie card. He was a guard, and he didn't accomplish much, but, it's a rookie card, so, you can just, if you're a beginner like me, just keep him. Next we have Mark Eaton from the Utah Jazz. He was an amazing shot blocker. He wasn't much of a scorer, but he was just an amazing shot blocker. Next is Derek Harper, a good player who played on the Mavericks. Not much to say about him, just, good looking card, good player. Rick Mahorn, pretty much the same thing, except he was on the 76ers. And the reason I like this card is because, him and Larry Bird, he's guarding Larry Bird. Larry Bird's guarding him, and it's, they look like they're having a good time. And Larry Bird is also one of my favorite players, so that's pretty cool. My next is Muggsy Bogues, someone who's, he proved everyone wrong and said that people say he couldn't make it to the NBA. And he made it to the NBA and was a great player at 5'3". So, no matter your height, you can do great things. Next is Spud Webb, who was also a shorter player, but he could dunk like it was nothing. He won a dunk contest as when he was 5'7", playing against Dominique Wilkins, who was also his teammate at the time and one of the greatest dunkers of all time. Kenny Smith, next card. Some of you may know him from on Inside the NBA, but he was a solid player in the 90s, pretty good averages. He's a pretty good dunker as well. Next we have Terry Porter. Not much to say about him. He was just a solid player. Played at the same time with Clyde Drexler, so yeah, he was pretty decent. Next we have James Worthy. And James Worthy was a great player. And I just really love the Lakers jerseys, pretty much all of them. Not much to say. He's just a great player, Next we have Clyde Drexler, one of my favorite players. He could dunk like it was nothing. His nickname was Clyde the Glide because of just how long he stayed in the air. It was amazing. We won't talk about this one because we already have a duplicate, Alex English duplicate. Oh, Mark Price. He is also one of the one of the most efficient players of all time. He played for the Cavs, I think, his whole career, I believe. And he was in the 50-40-90 club, which means you shoot 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the free throw, which is very impressive considering that most of his shots were jump shots. Next is Isaiah Thomas. One of my favorite players. I believe he is pretty underrated when it comes to as just being a great point guard. I believe he deserves just a little bit more respect. Also, I'm surprised he didn't make the Dream Team in the 90s. But only reason he didn't is because Michael Jordan had a grudge against him after not shaking hands with him. I believe at the finals. So, we have 4 cards left. Xavier McDaniel played on the Supersonics. He was a good player. His nickname was the X-Man. Not sure why, but all I know is that he was a good player. Not much to say about him because the Supersonics, they had a pretty short time in the NBA. A relatively short time. But he was a great player. Next is Derek Coleman. This is a more of a collection card. I love the graphic though. Not the graphic. I love the design on this card though. It was designed by Alan Stud, I think his name is, and Derek Coleman was just a great player through the 90s. Next we have Chris Mullin. Same type of card. He was a great shooter, great player in general. He played with Tim Hardaway on the Warriors, so it's always a good duo. That was a good duo. And he is probably one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time. Next, we have Lionel Simmons. Not much to say. I just, like the look of the cards, and I just love how the cards look actually. So, yeah, that was it. That was the most notable cards in my collection. See you guys in the next one. Bye.